You're listening to The Mountain Spirit, a podcast of Christian Appalachian Project, where we share inspirational stories of faith, service, and compassion. I'm a firm believer that we're all connected by our shared humanity, and that finding that intersection sometimes just means having a conversation. Today we get to hear from Jackie Collier, the first female chair of the board for Christian Appalachian Project. According to the Center for Creative Leadership, a good leader should have integrity, self-awareness, courage, respect, compassion, and resilience. They should be learning agile and flex their influence while communicating the vision, showing gratitude, and collaborating effectively. So let's talk some leadership skills and community involvement from Jackie. We're excited, Jackie, to have you on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's just jump right in. In the intro, I mentioned that you were the first female chair of the board for CAP. But before we dive into that particular role, we're going to step back a little bit. So I know I have a daughter and I work, to invest in her and to make sure she was ready to go out into the world as a young woman that, was grounded in herself. So I wonder for you, when you were a little girl, what were the dreams that you had growing up of what maybe you wanted to be or what you wanted to do in the world? And what were the dreams and expectations of your family?
Oh, that's a good question, because I'm not really sure as a small child that I ever really thought about what I wanted to be when I grew up. The expectation, though, of my family, my parents somehow saw something in me. They pushed me to do my best. I didn't have to be perfect, but they pushed me to do my best. I started my first job when I was 12. Babysitting,
Oh, wow.
and it was, pretty much, waking hours. It seemed like, after school, I would babysit and on weekends. And then it went to the point, then I got a first tax where I had to pay taxes when I was 16. And that helped shape who I was as well. But my parents really always said, you do your best. And so I think that really shaped me to really try to do my best in just about everything I did.
That makes perfect sense. So then can you tell us a little bit more about your family and where you're from, and how did that history of where pride of place shape the person you are now?
Well, I was born in Dayton, Ohio. Certainly not the Appalachian region, but on the tip of the Appalachian region. Everybody around me was from Appalachia. My parents had a total of 7 children, and 5 of them were born in Appalachia. My parents were from the southwest corner of Virginia, and so they moved to Ohio shortly before I was born, myself and my younger brother. So I had a professor in college that always called me an Appalachian once removed. So I have always identified myself as being Appalachian.
Yeah. So tell me about your time in college. What were your experiences there that you think helped prepare you for leadership later in life or in your career?
I know exactly what it was. At Berea, I went to Berea College, and all of our students are employed somewhere on our campus. One of my jobs was a tour guide of our campus. And it really taught me just so much about Berea, and then which expanded to even the love of Appalachia even further. So, that really impacted who I was.
Yeah, and you later went on to serve at or work at. So tell us a little about that.
I was fortunate enough to, I was an elementary education major. And right out of college, I went to work at an after-school program and worked there until the federal funds were up. And then they put me with like little teeny tiny babies. And that was not really what I wanted to do.
Right, no.
So I took a temporary job because I had to live in Berea because I was married and my husband still had a year of school left. So I took a temporary job that was really only going to last 9 months. As a secretary.
Right. This is the start of a story that says you were there for longer than
I'm going to take all the time telling my Berea story. I went to work for temporarily for 9 months, and when those 9 months were up, my husband decided that he wanted he didn't want to work outside of Appalachia. And fortunate, he found a job. And at the same time, the assistant director of alumni was leaving. And I went into my boss one day and said, I think I could do that job. And he said, well, if you think so, apply for it. And I did. And then when the associate director left, I went into my boss and said, I think I can do that job. And he said, well, then apply for it. I did. And then when Tom Arnold left as the director of alumni, I thought to myself, I can do this. And I did. So it was really, I've always been fortunate in that respect that I've had people that helped me and believed that I could do something, even though I wasn't really sure I had it. But yeah, so that's how I got started at Berea and worked there 23 years, went to EKU and was able to serve there as their alumni director for about 12 years. And then I came back to Berea to finish up my career. So I've really had great opportunities and was led by tremendous mentors along the way, especially a shout out to Rod Bussey. Who was my boss for a good deal of that time. He really showed me how to treat people. And I always said, my goal was to treat everybody that walked through my door as the $1 million donor. I didn't care if they were not going to give us anything. It was really important for me to treat people fairly.
Yeah. So that 9 months turned into a couple of decades.
A long time. Well, I just retired in February, so that will tell you how long it turned into.
Well, I always laugh because I feel like we always make plans and God is like, yeah, okay, you do that.
And it really, and it was just so many things that made it just seemed like it just was, timing was perfect, So it wasn't my timing, clearly, God's timing, whatever, but it worked.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, friends of CAP. This year, CAP turns 60, and we couldn't be more excited. This marks 60 years of building hope, 60 years of transforming lives, 60 years of sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. And we plan to be here for many more years to come. In celebration of our anniversary, we have created a special website where you can view the CAP archives and experience our story throughout the first 60 years of CAP. Thank you for being part of our story. Visit us at wearecap.org. That is wearecap.org.
So you talked a little bit about our strong mentors, and I do fully believe that we don't get any place in life without people that invest in us and pour into us, but also we get to pour into other people. So are there people that you feel like, whether it's folks who came in through the office or student workers or in your church or community, that you're able to be like, yeah, I can encourage that person and I can help move them?
Hope so. I sure hope so. Since I've had people come back and say, because we did have a lot of students come through the alumni office and come back and say, you made a difference here in my life. And as a matter of fact, I just got a text this morning from a person who I admire and love greatly, and she always says, had it not been for you, I would not have done what I did. And yay, that makes you feel good, because I know, again, it's because of the people that lifted me up that I'm able to do that.
Absolutely. That's so important. Do you feel like you experienced barriers as a woman in achieving your career goals? And if so, how did you overcome them? And if not, why not?
Anybody from the ages of probably 65 to 80, we were in a new world in a lot of respects. Because of my mentor, I was, and I'm please don't think I am saying I'm great, but I got to be the first woman assistant director, associate director, director. I was first JC in Madison County, first female, but it's because people said to me, go ahead and try, don't let the glass ceiling try to limit you. So I was able to try. And I didn't know, I wasn't always successful. There were times that I felt like, oh man, why did I do this? And I'd have to back up and start over. But, I've been very fortunate to have people that believed in me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good feeling to look back and see those folks who, I think way back to elementary school where I had teachers who were like, I'm going to put you, I was recently able to reconnect to my fifth grade teacher, and she advocated for me to be in the gifted and talented program. And I see how much of that changed the trajectory of my educational path, which set me up later on to my college path. But there are people who come along, and I do think God puts some people in our lives that show us like you can, or rah, they cheering for us. And sometimes they advocate in ways like I didn't know, I was a kid. I didn't know that she was, I don't know what meeting she was in, lifting me up. And so I think that that's the best, feeling when you find out that people were advocating for you when you didn't know, when rooms that you weren't in, but they were putting in a good word for you.
I agree. And I truly believe that. And I also think that we have to be aware of there are other people that aren't going to root for you and are going to say, "Ooh, is she down? Let me see if I can kick her." I've just really been fortunate to be surrounded by people that have been very positive in my life.
Yeah. So tell me, when it comes to leadership, what are the principles that drive you?
My goal is to be a consensus builder. Never thought that my way was the only way. I really have always tried to listen to people, and I really, I was on a site-based management team for my son's school while he was growing up, and I really learned a lot from Mike Cottle in how he did his consensus building to get to the end, to get to an answer, and I really tried to follow that along the way.
Yeah, that's so important to be able to listen to diverse opinions and find that middle ground, or find a way that everybody feels like they've been heard and that you were able to move that forward. How did you see that play out in your career?
Well, it didn't always work.
I'm very honest, because that's a true thing. That's a true thing.
If there are people that don't agree with that or agree with that's how you work, there are people that can get angry and kind of try to throw you off course and all that. But it helped me for the most part of my career, and I've been very fortunate for that.
Let's turn a little bit of our focus to Christian Appalachian Project. So you talked about having siblings born in Appalachia, and you went to Berea College, which we know is the Bedrock Foundational Institution in Appalachia. How did you first learn about Christian Appalachian Project, and what made you say yes when you were asked to be considered being on the board?
I first learned about Christian Appalachian Project when I was in college. And I took a course called philanthropy. And so one of our projects or people that we looked at was Christian Appalachian Project. And I liked them a whole lot, liked what they did, liked that they served people of need. And, going to Berea College, I certainly grew up as a person of need. So it just seemed like something that I believed in. Yeah, I liked that. And I got interested in the board in that Guy Adams and I knew one another. I knew Judge Wilson, who was on the board. And of course, Teresa Cash Davis is also an alum. So there's a lot of us Bereans around anyway. But that's how I got interested. And I think that I talked about being on the board, and they didn't take me the first time that I was considered, but I was fortunate enough that they put me up again and said, okay, and maybe they were just empty a spot or something, but I was able to get it.
So talk a little bit about that. I think for women in leadership, and even before we talk about being chair of the board, but just being on the board, and why is that important for women to look for those opportunities? So what did board leadership, this may not have been the only board you've been on, but what did board leadership mean for you, and what did you learn from those roles?
The big picture. And I think that, even as an employee, like at Berea, you don't always get to see the big picture. But you hope that there are people that are in the right positions that are helping you. So that helped me. And I think that diversity is really important, and that you see different views. Able to bring diversity and talk about the needs of Appalachia was really important.
Yeah. So what were you most proud of from your time on the board? How many years were you on the board before you became chair?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I will tell you that the thing that made me the happiest is that we made it through COVID.
Oh, wow.
Fundraising during COVID, when COVID first happened, all of a sudden we weren't able to make calls. We had to imagine different ways of reaching out to people. So I think that was really important. But they held their own. We did well. So that's good. But again, I think a lot of that was internal leadership from your all's leadership teams.
Yeah, that was a time that really tested, could you think outside the box and do direct human service programming when you could not do direct human service programming the way that you were used to doing it. And the same thing with fundraising. You mentioned making calls. How do you do a donor visit and go sit down and have lunch and all that when you got a social distance, you got to wear a mask, all the things. Sometimes at early COVID, you couldn't even travel. So the board leadership and leadership team, I think, really helped set CAP up and shepherding us through that season.
Yeah, I agree. But I was really pleased that I was part of the board at that time.
Yeah, what kind of committees were you serving on before you became the chair?
Development, for sure. That was really probably the one that I knew the most about.
Yeah, that makes sense from your background, fundraising. Yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your generosity has a direct and positive impact in the lives of people in need in Appalachia every day. It is the unwavering support of faithful friends like you that make this work possible. Many of our supporters are beginning to plan and envision what kind of legacy they want to leave to support the causes that are near and dear to their hearts. CAP is happy to provide a safe and easy experience for people to create a will and support CAP through non-cash gifts. Through our partnership with Free Will, CAP offers our donors the ability to create a will online and alter it at no charge. Our partnership with Free Will also includes their Smart Giving Suite, which allows donors to give through their IRA, donor advised funds, and stock online, in addition to creating a will for free. In recent years, Appalachia has faced unrelenting challenges, including the pandemic, inflation, and back-to-back natural disasters. You can make a life-changing impact and leave a legacy of hope in Appalachia. To learn more about non-cash giving opportunities, please visit christianapp.org/more ways to give.
What are your hopes when you think about Appalachia as a region in the years to come?
I think it's very important that we continue to serve the underserved. Educationally, food, clothes, shelter, everything. I think it's really important for Appalachia because we do have a large population that's underserved. I just want to make sure that we're reaching as many people as we can.
Yeah. And what do you think, we've talked a lot in this interview about leadership. What do you think is the future for the leadership in Appalachia? So whether that's local politicians, community leaders, nonprofits like CAP leadership, what is that leadership? How is that going to inform where the region goes?
I wish I knew the whole answer. Leaders need to understand Appalachia because it's a culture too, not just a place, but a culture that we need to understand. And I hope that, our politicians, our local leaders, our local ministers, schools, I hope that they understand that it's a culture that we're trying to serve and that we understand the people that we're trying to serve, because that's all it comes down to, is serving these people.
Yeah, that's such a great reminder of wherever region you're from or cultural place in America. At the end of the day, it's all about people.
It is.
And what people, all of us want to, raise our families in places that are safe, healthy. We can provide for our kids, provide for our parents, and you can, follow your American dream. No matter what region you're from, we all want the same thing. At the end of the day, it's about people, and as people, we want the same things for our families. So Jackie, I told you that our time would fly by, and our time is up. And we always end our show with this question related to CAP's mission statement. So the mission statement of Christian Appalachian Project is building hope, transforming lives, and sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. Hope, transformation, love, and service. Which one of these resonates with you the most when you think of Appalachia?
I couldn't tell you that one is stronger than the other. I think that there are 4 equal parts there, just like 4 legs on a chair. You got to do all 4 of them to hold people up. And I just think that is just extremely important.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We so appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tina. And it wasn't painful.
I told you it would go by quick and it would be easy, but
it's worth it that I get to see your face.
Yes. Well, we're so grateful. I think as we talk about leadership and leadership roles and just where it leads us and the opportunities we have in pointing and investing into other people is always a great topic. So
you didn't ask me about any of my failures, because there is a failure in my life that, it still haunts me to this day and always will. But it is, you learn from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our guest today has been Jackie Collier, the first female chair of the board of the Christian Appalachian Project. We hope you all have enjoyed the show and will check out next week's episode. Tell your friends to check us out too. You can follow the work of Christian Appalachian Project on all social media channels. And you can find the podcast at wearecap.org/podcast. or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'll see you next week.